Good morning, guys. Alright, paper number 8 has around. So, paper 8 is all about two subjects which are quite offbeat from all your other 7. Right, these two are very informative in terms of the content to be stay updated, and of course the other part of the subject deals with. So, one part of this deals with what? Enterprise information system, while the other part deals with strategic management. Right? So here are the two parts of the story. One talks about enterprise information systems, which is for 50 marks, where we will be talking about what is the use of information systems, like basic nature of computers. Enterprise is an organization or an entity for that matter. So in an entity which is doing business on a current day situation, how information systems help them. So we don't have any more, let me pick up a quick example, tell you what actually we are trying to say. See, right from a basic point of view of, standing in a queue to get billing done. We are not doing that anymore because nobody is sitting and doing a manual billing, right? So we are looking at a situation or a scenario where billing process is automated. So you walk into a departmental store, you are able to see an automated billing system. You walk into a ticket counter to purchase tickets, automation is there also. So nowhere people are interested in doing things manually for several reasons, not just one. Saves time, right? Effort is less, volume of work can be done more in less time. So all that advantages. So we're going to talk about all that. I'm just giving you a basic idea. So cutting edge in current day scenario is about having automated business processes, right? Automated business processes. We'll be talking about all those. And then we are also going to talk about financial and accounting information systems. Financial and accounting systems. This is pretty much relevant to us as chartered accounting students or as chartered accountants. What you need to understand is that you can't escape the use of computers. Yes, I understand the definite need of computers, but we don't need advanced knowledge of writing codes, making softwares. The very reason I can see you choose commerce is because you don't like all that, right? We understand that, and that's a clear fact, known to us, right? If somebody tells you that this is the combination with which what sulfuric acid works, I'm not interested, because that's not what we are into. So I do understand that we defy some logics of science. We don't like that. That's one of the reasons why we chose commerce. But as a matter of fact, computing is altogether a different field, though it's computer sciences, but it's something that is pretty essential, because today when you're looking at things, I think we've already discussed in audit a few topics which talked about importance of automation. Clients are using automated environments, so auditor needs to be updated with the latest systems. So you're doing audit of banks. Your banks use core banking systems. You need to have an idea of it. You're having clients who are online businesses nowadays. So how do you deal with your e-commerce clients? So, we're talking about all that this side. Automated business process, financial accounting system, e-commerce and computer systems. And then of course you will also discuss about core banking systems. So this is what is all about. Enterprise information systems, going to talk about all this, right? Of course, there's also another chapter. What is it? Just talking about information systems, right? Is one of the most important, the lengthiest chapters of all, right? Information systems, as to what are those systems, how are they used, all that stuff. Okay, but basically the coverage is all around how are we going to use various information system concepts and to use what are the basic understanding that we require. That is what the subject is all about. Again, I'm not saying it's difficult, I'm not saying it's easy, I'm saying it's informative. That means we need to know. There are certain things that we know and there are certain things that we don't know in the subject. So the biggest challenge here is to understand things which you haven't ever seen in your life. So SIM is it's a driving factor for you to, like say, had you worked on a core banking system or have you seen a software, things become more easier. But the only challenge here, because definitely in future you will be joining articles, and as an article student you will go to all these places to check all these systems out. But the challenge right now is that without seeing all that, without going all. Now when I am teaching you, I have a picture of what that is in my mind because I've seen it practically. So the only challenge for you is to kind of try and understand. But as you understand, you will have an imaginary picture of that in your head, which may or may not be so encouraging for you because you haven't seen the reality. So sometimes some concepts could go out of the way. You'll be feeling like, why are these actually even there? So don't even worry about it. All the concepts, because see, these are not concepts that's exclusively given only for the sake of giving or filling some syllabus. These are all absolutely used later. But to be very honest, this is the only theory subject that you have in all your 8 papers, and of course a little bit of economics of finance, which is a little bit. Otherwise, see, even when you talk about audit, law and taxes, we don't call them theoretical subjects because they are all practical. Because the classification is pretty restricted nowadays. They say practical is all about working on a paper and theoretical all about reading. It's actually not that. Accounts, advanced accounting, costing, financial management, these are all problematic papers, right? Problematic in the sense where you solve, not the problematic stuff, right? So these are problem solving papers with problematic. Audit, law and taxation, these are absolutely practical papers because this is what happens in practice. So you don't say I'm practicing accounts or I'm practicing costing in, they're problems, they're solved. So the problematic papers, these are, like audit, taxation, these are all field law, these are things that are practiced. And then this is this and a little bit of your 40 marks in financial management, you have a little bit of economics there, again you just have to study some theory and understand. And this is also something like that. Here, the good part of this is, you have a book in front of you, right? The questions are going to come from that book only. Now like say for instance, if you have costing, you have 100 problems, 100 and you solved, 101 problem can come in the exam. We don't know. The model can be same, right? And the numbers are different, sometimes the adjustments are different. You might slightly end up getting some new points as well. But here, straight and simple. You have a material in front of you, questions are going to be asked straight, you got to pick up all the points and answer, right? We'll find ways to remember each of them. We try and always understand the concept. We should be conceptually strong. By hearting is the option that is, I don't even consider that to be an option, so I don't really suggest that because I don't think that helps anyway. Because you might end up forgetting something. But as such you understand concepts, I think they stay longer than what we discussed. So these are the 5 topics that we are talking about. We will be discussing in detail as we start up. But on the other side, you also have strategic management for 50 marks, right? Here we are discussing about business and all its concepts we'll be doing further. So when I get to that part, we will discuss that. So right now, let's start out with the first part, enterprise information systems, which is for 50 marks. And as always, before I proceed further to the first chapter, which is on automated business process, I would always like to discuss on the title of the subject. It's very important on what we are talking about. So 3 words that we are talking about: enterprise, information and systems. Of course, what is information and what is system are discussed in the chapter in detail later. But right now, let me quickly give you an overview as to what that is. What do you mean by the word enterprise, guys? Yeah, enterprise is a business entity. So simply go with an entity. What could it be? It could be a partnership firm, it could be a company, it could be a trust society, XYZ, enterprise, right? Somebody who is dealing with some kind of work, the entity is doing some kind of work, so that deals with what is the enterprise. Alright everybody, are you understanding? This enterprise is about a entity. While talking about information, what is information? So this is an important discussion right now, what everybody will focus, because this is something that we need to understand. Later point of time, you might not want to discuss this again because we might use it in several contexts. So straight away, right now, tell me, what do you mean by information? What generally we use the term for? What can be understood, or something that's presented in a understandable form, right? What is that something? So at this point, I would like to introduce you to another term called as data. What do you mean by data? Data is a random collection of facts. Random collection of facts and figures. It includes all letters, numbers, content, picture, whatever you call it, random collection of facts and figures. Now, when you have this random collection of facts and figures, random collection of facts and figures, when I say random, who is it understandable to? Nobody, right? It's just meaningless. So on that note, when we arrange this data in such a form, when you arrange the data in such a form, which form? Such a form. Now what is it such a form? It depends on who the end user is, how is he reading about it. These are some of the points that we need to really try and understand. So when we do that, when we try and do that understanding or have that understanding, that's exactly when we get to have a clear picture of what it is all about, right? Data is a random collection of facts and figures. When data is arranged in such a way that it is made understandable to a user, right? So what can I say? What is information? Information is nothing but a processed form of information is nothing but a processed form of data. Okay. Now tell me, somebody saw a particular handout or a hoarding or a board somewhere saying that classes start on the 25th. When I just see a board like classes start on 25th, I am absolutely clueless as to what class is starting on 25th. Who is it relevant to? But it's a fact or not? It's a fact. Somewhere class is starting on the 25th. Which somewhere? Where? No idea. Nothing, no detail. So that's absolute data, meaningless to the recipient. But unless the recipient is happy seeing that particular thing and understanding, I mean, doesn't even matter whether he is happy or not, but as long as he is able to understand it. CA classes start on the 25th. Now, every fellow walking on the road who saw that board earlier, he didn't understand which class. He was always curious. What is this? What is going on? I want to understand more about. So, XYZ, more points. We need to really understand here in this case is that we will be getting that clarity. We will be getting that clarity only when we try and process it and put it in a form. Now, sir, I processed it, I put it in a form. I mean, you processed and put it in a form doesn't mean that it is meaningful. So, it should be meaningful from whose context? From the recipient. So, can I say that if I say information is processed form of data and put a full stop over there, I think it's not complete. Why is it looking incomplete? Because processed form of data. Why? What? Remember, I already told you this in English language. There are 6 questions which a definition at the end of it should not leave a scope for somebody else to ask you another question. Basically, anybody asking you a question of what? What is information? Process form of data. Okay, so what? Process form of data. Process form of data which process form of data? Which is meaningful. Process form of data which is meaningful. Meaningful. CA classes start on 25th. Is it a much more meaningful board than the previous board? Yes. But then again, so now an engineering student or a medical student working on that, he saw a CA class. Okay, not mine. So he moved. So now you have a target audience. So you know who are the people who are watching the board, correct? In that also you don't know whether it's a CPT class or an IPCC class or a final class or an intermediate class or a foundation. We don't have any clue as to what is it, new syllabus, old syllabus. No idea, just CA classes start. So there, but actually it is restricted to a section of people right now. Then there is CA intermediate class starts on. So now you have a perfectly targeted audience. A kid walking there seeing foundation or not foundation, okay, moved on. Final guy is like, okay, this is something intermediate. So that means only people belonging to CA, that who are doing the intermediate level, are only the targeted audience. So you are very pinpointed on to what you are talking about. Now you have a definite recipient to whom that makes sense, correct? This is what we are looking at. Information is a processed form of data which is meaningful to whom? Meaningful to the recipient. Now, okay, by seeing that board, what is that you achieved in your life? Nothing. Should I go to that class or not go to that class? Will it help you make the decision or not? So, any information that you read or see or use is only for you to make a decision about doing something or not doing something. which is a processed form of data meaningful to the recipient for what? For making decisions. For making decisions when? When is the question? So, why also? When? Now or in future. Okay, which I can say current. Definition, it says information is a random collection of facts, data is a random collection of facts and figures, while a processed form of data which is ultimately meaningful to the recipient, which enables him to make current or progressive decisions, is called what? That is what is called information. Everybody, are you understanding this particular point? So here is the entire story of what information means. Everybody, are you clear? So we have two terms that we understood here, information and data. Then enterprise is all about an entity. It could be a partnership firm, could be a company, could be a sole proprietor concern, anything, any enterprise. Then we have this other word called systems. What are we talking about? The word system. Let's see. System. What do you mean by the word system, guys? Generally we say, what do you use the system for? I am working on a system. What are you referring to? When I say I am working on a system, what are you referring to? A computer? Sometimes when we refer or use the word a system is very bad. What do you mean by that? An organized structure, like, sir, the government system, it is like this only. Why are we even saying or using the word system? Means there is a particular way of doing things there, protocol. Right? You have to follow these things, but you are not liking it. System can be changed. We are all retaliating, saying that the system is bad. The country's system can't. What are you talking about? The governance system. You might be talking about computer system, governance system. Forget about. So important facts that you need to understand here is that system is nothing but, see, if the human body has to work, as the entire purpose of the human body is to live, right? So keep that purpose alive, or for that matter here the human body alive. The purpose is to keep it alive. All these have to work in coordination, correct or not? So even if one of the organs fail, right, it could be, something which can kill the person. So now the entire concept running behind this is that what? There are several individual components, right? There are several individual parts of the body. All of them are working together, correct? To achieve what? To achieve a kind of a common purpose. To achieve what? A common purpose. In this case, what is the common purpose? Living. To survive and to live, what you need to do is the question. Alright, everybody, are you understanding? So, various components working together to achieve a common purpose or a goal, which is what a system is all about. So, what is a system? Small components, yeah? Small component doing what? Small components working together. Small component working together. Sir, why are they working together? Small components working together to achieve what? To achieve a smaller components are working together to achieve a common purpose or a goal. All the components inside each of them, understood, will not have different objectives. Are you understanding? So, your brain is thinking something, your heart is functioning some way, the kidneys are doing something else, but all of them, see, all of them are not doing the same function, but all of them are conveying us that we are all doing this for the same purpose. Right? What your brain is doing and what your kidneys are doing are not the same, but the fact of the matter is that both are doing something to keep you alive. So different components are working together, small components bringing together. Now this can be applied onto a computer also. You have RAM, you have a motherboard, you have a lot of hardware. We will discuss in later parts of the syllabus a little bit of insight on all these. But right now I am just giving you a brief insight. That is what we are going to discuss as part of the system. In every enterprise or an entity which has information needs. Today, information is wealth. That's the whole, connotation right now going on. In the last 10 years, the advancements that we have seen in the field of information technology, we are now saying that information is the, how finance is the lifeblood of any business to survive, right? Like that, equally important has become information. We are living in an information age. I'm not saying this on my own, it's part of your syllabus. Somewhere in that line you will come across that information age. We are now calling this, who has best information with them will obviously emerge as the winner. Sir, how are you saying that? I have best of the production facilities. I don't care if you have the best of the production facilities, because at the end of it, you produce the best product and don't know whom to sell. What is it ultimately are you doing? So today, the context is specific, the context is straight, and the context is very particular. What is that context? We are talking about what information we can use to achieve what? Basic questions. Everybody, are you following what we're trying to discuss here? So in every enterprise which has information needs, which is an undeniable fact that it has to have a need, then we are talking about what? We're talking about using information systems. You are using small components working together to convert data into information. Because data is in raw form, myriad, various forms. Somebody not really understanding what data is. Obviously, there's no targeted recipient in data. Classes starts. Which class? Where? Who? Who is it? Classes start is a fact or not? Every morning somewhere class is starting. But which class is starting where? Why is it relevant to us? We don't talk about that. Why? Because we're not even bothered about. But in this particular case, is what is really important. To do this process, we need some kind of machines, systems in place, which is what are called information systems. So can I now conclude talking about this scenario as those machines which are used? So I'm not discussing about a human body system, I'm not discussing about a governmental system, I'm discussing exclusively about a computer system. We can understand that because those devices which are used for converting data into information is what we are really interested in. So that is exactly why we are talking about some kind of information systems which are in the nature of helping business do better, right? Enterprise information systems. I'm going to discuss with you about core banking systems. I'm going to discuss with you about automated process. Can business run without automation? Can a business run without automation? Yeah, comfortably. All these years we've been doing that. What do you think? Computers are famous in the last 10 years. 15 years? Okay, 15 years. Before that? Banks have done manual business, correct or not? When did core banking systems and central banking, centralized banking and all come? 10 years? Not more than that. Right. We didn't have ATM 20 years before. What are you talking about? Anything else? So, it's all about evolution. With time, things evolve. When things evolve, as a matter of fact, we need to know this. Now, there are certain absolutely relevant topics to you as a chartered accountant. And let me be very clear in the beginning, there are some topics which are only for understanding how the other topics work. So if you are telling that, why do I really need all this? There is no justification for the fact that you need each and every concept. For that matter, even when you studied a 100-mark subject on audit or 100-mark subject on taxation, every section will be implied by you in life is a rare possibility. But since it's part of the syllabus, you have to try and understand. What comes to you? You are dealing only, capital gain cases or PGBP cases in your practice. That doesn't mean you will forget house property. Right? So this is also like that. So you need to know certain things like say financial accounting systems. Maybe you're working on those. I'm not doing a bank audit at all. So even if I don't know core banking systems in my life, I'm not, really worried about it, or I'm not losing anything. But as a matter of fact, for you it's a subject in the exam and there's a part of the syllabus. So without having any thoughts, shut your mouth and read it is the logic. Understood? So anyways, let's go with that. So I hope you get a clarity on what we are going to try and understand. In every enterprise which has information needs, how are they going to use these systems to pick up those? And as I introduce you to the very first chapter, I think you will have a clarity in greater depth as to what we are trying to target and understand in this subject, right? And of course, I know that you focus well, but I want you to focus a little more because the possibility of drifting to fantastic thoughts that you have about life is very easy in this subject. Understood? So, as a matter of fact, 2-3 minutes later as we go into a topic, then you should not have your own thoughts running behind. So, that's the only thing, because I'm not telling purposefully we will deviate, but it sometimes so happens that we might end up doing that. So, all I want to tell you is that, you got to stay focused, because it's not something that you see in your routine, so it might sometimes be offbeat, is what I'm just warning you in advance, right? So, on that note, since we have 5 chapters, let's start with the first one. We're talking about automated business process. So, there is a time when we discuss about manual business process, but I don't see a point in dealing with it anymore. So, there is something that we can do with chapter number 1, which we will deal on, automated business process. Everybody get to chapter number 1. We'll talk about automated business process.